I'd like to introduce Jan Odegard. Jan is the interim executive director of the ION. The ION is an innovation hub in the urban core of Midtown that connects the central downtown business district and the Texas Medical Center, which anchors Houston's technology and innovation ecosystem through partnerships and programming that creates pathways and opportunities for inclusive and resilient economic growth. But Jan also used to be the executive director of the Ken Kennedy Institute, so I will feel forever bonded with him. And I really appreciate everything he's done to help me catch up on this job. And I will let him take it from here.
Thank you, Angela. And this is a hard crowd to follow because there's so much exciting things going on. And in my current position, of course, I see a pathway to where I'm currently working at the ION. I thank you, Genevra, for setting that up. And I was thinking, like, well, we need to get some of these exciting sort of action learning projects sort of to the corporate. So looking forward to continuing that conversation. But let me kind of give a high overview over not just the ION, but also a little bit of the district and how that is sort of connected and how that is going to be a unique resource for the innovations and the programs, both the, if you think about the Carbon Hub, but what they're doing ultimately plugging into industry. If you think about what Fred talked about, RCell and sort of leadership and whatnot, how that plugs in, and the D2K sort of the journey. And I envision project coming out of D2K where the students want to, well, this is a startup. I'm going to go somewhere and actually launch this, where they can work out the IP around that. And that, not to forget that one of the most efficient way of doing tech transfer out of academia, and I think this has been proven out many places, and I think we have some lessons to learn, is really through allowing startups to have access to intellectual property and to drive that. And that's all ultimately lead to larger licensing agreements with the corporate, which are less sort of a forward leaning in sort of taking that initial. But so why the ION innovation, why the innovation district and the ION? It really is sort of a twofold from Rice, Rice's perspective. Rice Management Company that is funded and sort of capitalizing the project. It's really focused on two things. It's it's financial returns for the university, which is supporting and sustaining the great programs that we just heard about, on campus. But it's also supporting the growth and diversity of the regional economy. And these are critical things for us. And part of Rice's, 2020 vision, or the vision for the second century, version 2, is really to deepen our engagement as a university and institution with Houston, because Rice is in and of Houston, and as that, the future of Houston is really aligning tightly with the future of Rice University. So it's very selfish on RMC in some part to really make this investment to activate and accelerate sort of Houston in tech and innovation. So let me see if I can forward the slide. Can't do this without the critical partners, as we've seen in many of those talks earlier. I do want to take just a second to show you the great partners we have. Baker Botts, Chevron, and Microsoft was really well aligned and really see where we are driving and want to be part of that journey of transforming Houston. Also affiliate partners of Intel, Insperity, and Maersk Drilling. And then not to forget all the community partners that already have engaged and reached out to us to build the programming that I'll talk a little bit of as we move forward, that truly makes the ION, the building, and ultimately the district, a very different sort of real estate product that really sort of amplifies what it means to be in a building that actually deliver not just an office for your corporate or your startup, but actually deliver programming that actually activates you. And that sort of resonates with Chevron and Microsoft, as many of you may have heard, as also going to be tenants in the building. And we're working on a range of other tenants that are going to be in the building as we move towards opening. So where is the innovation district located? And location does matter. And it is halfway on a stretch between the central business district downtown and the medical center. You see it here with the red dot. If you take a 3-mile radius circle around it, you actually embed most of the academic institutions in Houston, that have their home campuses. And then our academic network actually includes all of the ones, the 10 that you see here. And we're constantly being approached by academic institutions from College Station, from halfway to College Station to Beaumont to Galveston, wanting to join and be part of this ecosystem that drives towards the future of Houston, So Just another view of that. I just want to remind everybody that automobile-free convenience does matter to increasingly to our younger generations. Being on the light rail there, the big yellow blob is the innovation district, and the ION being a part of that. We are on the metro rail. We're close to the museums district, downtown business district, the medical center, and for this particular you see also where Rice University is. So this is super important for the retention of talent, to know that this is something, the high density, proximity, and convenience. I'm not expecting to spend hours on the freeways commuting every week. I can actually live, work, and play, a highly overused phrase, but something that I think is important to the younger generation, and increasingly also to the older generation, wherever I belong. So what about the ION? What is the ION? I mentioned it's a different real estate product, and it's different because it is the old Sears building, as we see in the bottom left corner here, reimagined as an innovation hub. And if anybody on this call are interested in maybe getting a peek at it before we open it, reach out to me separately, and we may be able to arrange that. But it is sort of close to a 300,000 square foot building that actually has a lot of event and programming space, classrooms, workspaces, office spaces, to support meetups, and food and beverage will be in the building. We'll run a lot of community building events, accelerator programs, startup services, a range of programming that actually is something we do on the lower level, on the main floor, supporting the 4 floors about it and all the tenants that's going to be in the building. These are the programming that truly make this a different office building. If you go to any office building downtown and you walk in the door, what is the one thing you find? You find the desk with a halfway sleeping security guard at it that can direct you to the elevator or to the restrooms. But you're usually heading to the elevator, going to your floor, and you're hiding there for the rest of the day until you leave and go back to the garage. This is a different building where when you get into the building, you're there immersed in all the activities and programming that we are creating. And as we're building a richer and richer program, including with our university partners, that's what you collide with and engage with as you enter the building. You see the forum stairs here, which is an amphitheater where you can do TED Talks, conferences, workshops that can have 250 plus people. You see restaurants, you see the outside plaza here in front of the building that truly actually is meant to be, it's a multi-use sort of people engaging infrastructure and public parks and plazas that really is sort of pervasive through the district longer term. And here you see another view, and now we're talking about, so where is the ION within the district? So the district is 16 acres of land in and around that old Sears building in Midtown. The long-term objective is to build 3 to 5 million square feet of public open spaces, mixed-use development, have a very active public realm, and community-focused ground floors. The idea is that the bottom floor or 2 will always be accessible from the plazas and the green spaces and where people are engaging. So we want people to truly engage with this and be part of this district and not just be coming to it because they have an office on the floor. This is a different destination that we're trying to create here in Midtown, and we're really excited about what the ION is creating, which is the first building, truly setting the standard for the future developments in the district. There will be a parking garage somewhere in the district, but it's not going to be on a per building side. We want to put that aside and say, leave your car here and now participate in the entire district and in its entirety. So, what is the objectives and goals for the overall district and the ION itself? It's really focused on 4 key things, at the very high level. It's strengthening Houston and Harris County's economic resiliency and competitiveness, And this was a little bit of the Amazon HQ2 that we heard earlier. It's like, why was it that we didn't win, at least landing on the top 20 list of that consideration? Well, we had some challenges, and I think the city and Rice stepped up to sort of address that. The second part there is attract and retain innovative talent, companies and institutions. We've already seen some of that, HPE announcing that it chose to move to its headquarters to Houston. We have seen other smaller companies being here. Bill.com created its second big locations in Houston a couple of years back. So this is really an important part of growing our economy and accelerating Houston as a destination. I keep using Houston as a destination. I think that if you were in the energy industry, Houston was always a destination. If you needed to have, have a cancer treatment, Houston was a destination. If you needed to go to JSC, Houston was a destination. But beyond that, it wasn't seen as a destination for tech and innovation. And I think that's actually changed dramatically. And it's partially an image problem because we have an incredible ecosystem of startups and growing startups in the city. Foster an inclusive and welcoming neighborhood that offers economic opportunity for all Houstonians. Houston is the 7th most diverse city in the nation, and we're the 4th largest city in the U.S. We need to capitalize on that, and we need to create those opportunities and be very purposeful and inclusive as we think about how we activate, tech and innovation and create those opportunities that actually lifts, all participants in Houston. And then we wanted it to be a vibrant, connected, and timeless place that truly transforms create a future of where offices and collaborations happen in a different way. More specifically, Donna, sort of the workforce and diversifying the tech workforce, diversifying tech entrepreneurship, and strengthening community businesses is a key part of that. We have a rich assets here to tap into and enable, and this is an important part of what we're doing. I just want to show you this quick video here, that gives it, so let me see, it should play now.
Right in the heart of the 4-mile-long innovation corridor, stretching from downtown Houston to the world's largest medical district, the Texas Medical Center, is the site of a transformational project that will serve as a nucleus for Houston's fast-growing, diverse, and inclusive innovation ecosystem. In early 2019, Rice University announced the development of a 16-acre innovation district that will encompass more than 5 million square feet of creative office, multifamily residential, retail, restaurant, hotel, and public park space open to all Houstonians. The district is anchored by the renovation of a historic Sears building into a 300,000 square foot collaboration hub known as the ION. Over $100 million will be invested by Rice University into the ION to catalyze a district that will set a new standard of urbanism, connectivity, and inclusivity in Houston. Set to open in early 2021, the ION is a collaboration space designed to inspire people to accelerate innovative and tech-forward solutions for the challenges facing the world. Rice University's goal is to increase collisions between the region's entrepreneurial, corporate, and academic communities. The ION will support businesses at all stages of the innovation lifecycle and provide resources for Houstonians seeking to participate in the innovation economy. Academic and corporate partners will be immersed in a robust and diverse environment of accelerators, workforce development programming, cross-university collaborations, and resources for entrepreneurs. We are building our innovation ecosystem, one entrepreneur at a time. And the ION and Houston's Innovation District are just one exciting part of this community-wide effort.
But, so now we see the building is mostly completed, and, we're super excited. And, hadn't it been for COVID, we probably would have been I would have been at the building delivering this talk. This is a view of the building from the Wheeler and Main Street location. And I'm super excited about where we are. Here's a few renderings of the plaza that's being finalized. And we're looking forward to have all of you participate and engaged and be using this plaza and engaging the restaurants that are already announced to be in the building. So what is the vision and mission? We see our vision really to accelerate innovation and connecting communities. But really what does that mean? It means so much, because for entrepreneurs and startups, that means we're supporting their journeys. For the corporate innovators, we're supporting them colliding and engaging with the ecosystem, both from the point of view of the entrepreneurs as well as the academic and the community. And so there's a tremendous amount of content in that particular phrase there. Connecting communities, again, we want to be for all Houstonians. and ultimately the ION will anchor and activate this whole district, through the various partnerships and pathways that we're creating to create opportunities to advance and sustain resilient economic growth in Houston. So these are our 4 stakeholder communities as I think about them when we think of who are we serving, who are the ION serving. Startups and entrepreneurs, front and center, part of our original DNA. Corporate innovators. We are a building with corporate office spaces like Chevron and Microsoft and others that will be signing there. They are actually plugging in because of what we're bringing there, And the ION academic networks, which many of you are part of, and we're looking forward to activating and collaborating with. And then there's the community and workforce piece that is beyond what the academic institutions are doing. But what the ION programming that we're developing are doing is really bringing these stakeholders together and creating that connectivity between them, amplifying the collisions, connections, collaborations. And then we add to that the investor community that really brings capital to those startups and those growth opportunities that our startups need to do. So it's really about accelerating this piece of the pie and creating, whether it's a talent pipeline, whether it's a startup and intellectual property transfer and so on and so forth, to create that vibrant destination which Houston gets to be known for. This is the larger district. The green circle here is the ION. A parking garage with also a public realm will be added here. You see all the plazas and the green space that's going to be added to it to kind of make that a holistic view. Looking a little bit more densely at it, if you look at all the activities that we are already putting together inside the ION and related, this is super exciting. I'm not going to read out this. I'll be happy to share the slides. We can send them out to everybody that participate, but it does have a rich environment of accelerators, what we call gateway project, which really is the light touch engagement. Come and discover what is in here for you that could be the value that you need to derive, and then we expect to have a lot of corporate tenants, as I said. Other thing to keep in town is that adjacent to us, Greentown Labs, which many of you may have heard of, which is the clean tech accelerator out of Boston, also established itself at its second location. And they're actually looking to open in that particular building, G1 there, sort of in late, mid to late Q2, of this year. So we're really seeing the district starting to take shape. And then there's other buildings that will come online over the next several years to create that 3 to 5 million square foot of space. Here's some of the Marque programming at the ION. I'm not going to read through this list, but it spans the spectrum from community engagement, what we call gateway series, perfecting your pitch, e-commerce, how to start a startup, again, to activate the community. We have a monthly recurring Houston Startup Showcase for anybody in Houston. You don't have to be part of ION to take your company and want to come and pitch it. We're launching an angel investing series that we want to run out of the ION. We have our accelerator hub. We've just closed and we'll be launching the Smart and Resilient Cities Accelerator. Rise Alliance will run its clean energy accelerator out of the ION. Div Inc. of Houston will come to and will be housed at the ION and will also run its accelerator there. And then we have also a partnership with Vision Galveston that really brings the larger Houston Galveston region together. We also have an aerospace innovation hub that includes an accelerator. A lot of startups, 40 to 50 startups will be in the building, kind of building their business plans, their pitch decks and their pitches moving forward and developing their technology. And so, and then we're, as I said, the academic network, we're working on several things here that's going to really activate, we have a big idea series that's going to be a sort of a weekend program, where we draw sort of all the academic programs, the various, as more of a poster session where we do mixers and engagement, and maybe there's a hackathon of sorts as part of that too. And then we have another series, How Things Works, that actually also we're launching. And then we're looking to the academic partners to see what they want to launch. Ginevra alluded to some very exciting discussions. Stay tuned for that. A lot more will come around that fairly soon. And I'm not going to go down here and talk about the rest of it. We're going to have a prototyping lab, about a 6,500 square foot prototyping lab on the premises, where, entrepreneurs, corporates can come and say, I have this idea, I want to create X. well, but I don't know, I don't have the CAD expertise, I don't have the electronics expertise. Are there consultants that can help me actually create my first prototype, and maybe even manufacturing it on site or send it off to have it manufactured. So we really want to have a flexible, for those at Rice, this is basically, similar to what ODEC is to engineering students at Rice, but at the ION, accessible there on the very first floor. We're going to have an investor studio. One of the key things is to make sure that where do investors go when they come to Houston? We want them to come to the ION and meet sort of deal flow, if you will, and engage with the community to talk to, get pitches, do advising and do that engagement, come and run classes out of the building and so on and so forth. And then that's what I have to share. I look forward to welcoming you to the ION. Timeline wise, as I said, we'll be able to move in a couple, in about 3 weeks or so. COVID will determine whether that physically will happen. But then moving from there, the building will gradually start opening probably by mid-year, where we start piloting some limited in-person programming. And then, as we move into the fall, we'll pivot most of our online programming then to in-person programming at the ION. Welcome you there. Have a cup of coffee, maybe a beer or a wine an evening. So look forward to talking to you.
Hi, Jan. Thank you for doing that. I think the ION's a great opportunity because there's many things going on. I think, from your point of view, what are some of the bigger hurdles when we talk about accelerating technology transfer? Because that easily aligns with a lot of these things.
Well, I think it's a very sort of thorny issue, and I think universities across the country are sort of looking at that and it's like, well, what does that look like from a university perspective? And I think one of the things is there's sort of like, well, you have processes by protecting IP and doing that, and you can file for disclosures, you file for patents and all of that. But what happens after that is really important. And there is some success in licensing to corporate, but I do think that there's a little bit of that. I'm creating this nest egg of IP, and I'm expecting to license it. I think that maybe taking an approach where maybe de-risking happens through startups, and they are creative about it. So creating very attractive ways for startup to take IP out of the university ecosystem and into a startup, and then have them do the startup at a place where they collide with corporates, where corporates actually now is like, oh my goodness, I never thought about using that IP that way. I would never have licensed it, but at that point, now it becomes maybe a meaningful licensing term. So by playing the long game in doing tech transfer, I really think you can start pivoting and starting to accelerate that IP that's often tied up and sort of almost locked away at the university. And Rice is not unique. I think all universities are struggling with this. Some locations are probably way more are ahead of us in terms of Rice University, but I think we can catch up quickly, and ION could be a place where those collisions with the startup that have the academic they produced IP and could accelerate that.
Yeah, I think the immediate feedback that ION will provide will be instrumental.